I've been told that Fremantle, just south of Perth, is a great bike town. So I went to explore its quaint streets, and indeed, I did find some evidence of that. Bikes parked outside a cafe, for instance, instead of cars. And down this street, a cafe with a bike at the door as a sort of a lure. And just inside, another on the walls. Well, they got my custom, and I had a great coffee and muffin before heading off for a curious bike shop, outside of which, supplied by the city, a whole bunch of free bikes, free for the taking. If you leave ID, of course.
Must be back by the end of the day.
Right. My friends Gillian and Yana had put me onto this. Thanks, Yana. It turned out to be an electric bike shop, and inside was somebody that I was very glad to meet. The mayor of Fremantle himself, window shopping for an e-bike, it seemed.
Right. New bike, Fred. Come on down. This is a uni-bike. Uni-rider.
It's very stylish. In fact, this is what I would actually get something like this, because I think in many ways what I do is I ride and I wear a suit most days. I need a bike that's it's kind of easy to get on and off. It's not going to make me dirty, not going to make me sweaty, but I can still just go from door to door really easily. So,
what a surprise this mayor is. An Aussie male who's considering a step through like some Parisian, Montrealer or Dubliner. And every single bike share scheme in the world, like Paris, the Vélib', Montreal, the Bixies, London, the Barclay bikes, they're all step-throughs.
That's true, they are. In fact, when I was I spent a lot of time on the Vélib' when I was in Paris.
Did you?
In August, and it changed Paris for me, because I've always liked Paris, but this time I just loved it, because I could just get around the whole city from end to end, and of course they put hundreds of kilometres of bike lanes as well.
Yeah.
This makes it such a great city.
So, Mr. Mayor, could we see a demonstration on this bike?
Absolutely. I even brought my black helmet to match.
Okay. It was good to discover that this mayor wants to get a bike share scheme for Fremantle.
See you later.
Yeah. But how, I wondered, is he going to handle the helmet problem which is crippling the Melbourne attempt? Do I dare risk the rapport and bring up the deadly helmet question?
No, it's fantastic.
How do you like the sit-up position?
I prefer it. I think with a bike like this, you want it to be quite upright, so you've got that good visibility.
Yeah.
But because it's electric, you don't need to be down low and tugging on the handlebars very much. So, no, this is a beautiful bike.
Isn't it a beautiful finish on it?
Yeah, it really is.
What's the possibilities of getting a true bike share scheme here in Fremantle?
It's looking more and more likely. We've got a local social entrepreneur called Brodie McCulloch who's been working on this very hard. In fact, what we're going to do is build on Little Creatures, have a free bike hire scheme.
I heard about that.
As does e-bikes here, and some bolt-on GPS locking units. I think we can actually get the system up and running.
So it will be a self-serve like Paris?
Yep, that's exactly right.
Okay, and what are you going to do about the helmet problem?
It's $1 million question in Australia, unfortunately, and we're seeing it both I'm going to Melbourne tomorrow actually to have a look at their bike share scheme, and it's a really big issue, because whether you have vending machines with $5 helmets, which is the current Melbourne model, or whether you are
so why not use the Northern Territories as an example and have a helmet exemption? In Darwin, you can ride on a cycleway like this or on a footpath without a helmet. Yeah. Both perfectly legal.
That would have my 100% support. I think it's what you've got to do, and then it's on the local governments also need to invest in proper bike lanes and bike infrastructure so that it is safe to ride, and that's what we're doing here in Fremantle.
Even if you have helmet vending machines and cheap helmets, you're still adding a complication to something that's supposed to be simple, to what should be an absolute impulse situation.
My view is that the health benefits of doing that actually outweigh the risks, and I think it's actually, if you're going to have an evidence-based decision making, you're actually going to do that. Yeah.
But that's proven too. I mean, I have the stats on Montreal, for instance: 3.5 million kilometres in the first season, 5 accidents, minor accidents associated with those bikes.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, 2 accidents in Dublin over the last year.
Yeah.
More than 1 million rides.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
In fact, you know what? By getting people out of their cars, actually making a safer environment, you're actually lowering the risk of the whole society,
you are.
making people healthier. The argument for me is overwhelming, and is what we need to do. And,
So why are you alone in saying this, do you think?
I don't think I am alone. I think actually what we're seeing is a growing voice in this area.
Yeah.
I mean, even in Melbourne, people realise that the way that the Melbourne scheme's on the brink of failure as a result is actually, I think, is going to turn this debate around. And what it does, though, it needs some bravery from politicians who are willing to stand up and say, actually, let's look at this more holistically, rather than just simply about, in a very narrow sense, around public health. And I think we'll actually get those kind of outcomes if they do that. With everything we do, there's risks, but ultimately it's about managing those risks, people being aware of them.
Exactly.
And I think the risks of people riding a public bike scheme are small. And
They are.
And in fact, what I'd rather see us doing, instead of putting energy into more red tape and stopping people doing things, is actually investing in the infrastructure that makes riding safe and educating motorists and actually getting those kinds of outcomes.
And if we don't get that, I mean, how are we going to look globally with people coming here from all over Europe? They want to ride a bike, you know, they're used to riding without a helmet, and they say, what's happening here?
I mean, that's right. And Australia needs, really, outside of Australia and small parts of Canada, not even all of Canada, this idea that helmets would be compulsory is an absurd idea.
Yeah.
In fact, the rest of the globe somehow manages to operate safely. I don't know why we can't do that in Australia.
Well, when you see the interview I did with this Irish guy, Andrew Montague, set up Dublin Bikes, he says we use Australia as a horrible example.
The obvious thing is the cycle helmets. It really is holding them back, and it's causing them great problems. And if they really want to make their cities cycle friendly, they've got to look again at the biggest obstacle they have, which is the helmets.
We'll need to get a few of our state politicians on board, but
Do you think you can?
more than happy to do that. I'm certainly happy to go out and lobby them as hard as I can.
Yeah. Well, I have a film on Darwin, they can look at that. There's no increase in the accident rates up there as a result of having that exemption.
Yep.
It works really well.
It'd be great to see the film on Darwin. Actually, I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah.
So
Well, I'll send you the link for it.
Okay, thank you.